big dumb kaiju punching fun.
I'm just so happy. Oh, jeez. So we are MacGyvering the fuck out of this.
Yeah.
I left my camera at home like an idiot.
And we're really just hoping that the phone is pointed the right way. Otherwise, we're gonna have to redo this whole fucking thing. But no, we just got out of seeing Godzilla vs. Kong in the big ass IMAX in San Francisco. So happy I did that.
I'm happy I waited to watch this in the big IMAX theater.
I'm happy I stayed off of Twitter long enough to not have shit ruined for me.
Yeah. I've already seen mixed reactions on Twitter. Most of it positive, but there's a few Godzilla hardcores that are not as happy about some of the decisions as I am. Mostly design choices, to be fair.
Okay, but like it's all right. I'm
with you. Don't.
I get it. But like when it comes down to it, it's almost like, you know, they did the thing. You don't need it to look exactly the same. Just they did the thing.
They did the thing, and I'm so fucking happy they did the thing. Now, granted, if you pay attention to this at all, you already know what the thing is because they did not hide it. They released the toy model ahead of time.
Oh God, I'm so glad I avoided everything.
So it's not like it's a secret.
Well, let's not.
I'm still not gonna give it away until later.
If they made it to our review without seeing the thing, it would be a dick move for us to ruin it.
Yeah,
especially considering that, you know, I managed to avoid it this whole time. Also, like, if you made it to this point without watching it, and you don't plan on seeing it on a theater, and you have HBO, like, why are you watching us? Go watch it and then come back.
I know, right?
But if whatever the case, we're gonna avoid spoilers for a bit.
Yeah. I do have to, like, as everyone knows in this channel, I'm like the biggest hardcore Godzilla fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I will not, it's one of those topics I will not shove about to anyone that will let me talk about it, which is not many.
That's why we have you.
So, like, I'm one of those ones, like, unabashedly will defend the past couple of Godzilla movies, even though, like, they get a kind of mixed reaction. I always think that sorry, go ahead.
I'm coming at this as from somebody who was a very casual fan of Godzilla growing up. Like, I'm not, like, my first introduction to Godzilla as a kid was the awful 1999 movie with, like, the Taco Bell dog doing promos for it.
Yep. That was actually my introduction too.
Okay, good. So, but from there it was more just like I got lightly acquainted with the different things, and I thought it was fun, and I always liked the idea of the original movie being like this really profound allegory for nuclear power and everything. And I know that there were, you know, dozens of crazy ass movies in between, but like I watched the recent movies and I liked them. I didn't really have a problem with them. I thought they were decent enough as movies. The first one functioned enough as a movie and then turned into like a Godzilla movie later. The King of Monsters I saw in this big ass thing too. We did that review, right?
Was it you when I did that?
I thought it was.
No, it was me and Howard at King of Monsters.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched that on my own. Okay. Well, anyway, I watched it and I thought it was a stupid fucking movie, but I loved every second of it because it's just big dumb fun. And Skull Island was a surprisingly fun time. I did not have a problem with it. It did what it was supposed to do, and it did a good job of it. And likewise, this movie did that same thing.
You know, here's something that I find fascinating, because when you watch Godzilla movies, like, oh, they're kind of fun. I went the other direction, where I just became just, like, an obsessive megalomaniac.
Oh, don't get me wrong. When I was watching King of Monsters, I was like, yeah, Mothra!
No, I'm talking about as a kid, because I had, like, the toys. I still have all of them on VHS.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, I still have them. They're in my, like, my bedside, what's it called, dresser.
Nice. You have the Criterion number 1000 set.
Yep, I have the entire Showa era in one giant collection. It was something my mom and I used to bond over when I was younger. Cool. So it's like going to these movies. I feel like these movies, as dumb as they are made by people who genuinely love this franchise.
Yeah. No, God, I remember you talking about when King of Monsters came out. I remember you talking about things that no one like me would notice, like Ghidorah's theme playing when it came out, like little touches that they put through the movie that were clearly because they were fans and they were for fellow fans.
Yeah, like there's a lot of touches in there. Like I was laughing at myself because I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes and they said, "We're critics wrong about King of Monsters." I'm like, yes. Next question.
You have to wonder what they're looking for.
Yeah, I don't really understand what, like, I mean, that's not true. Like, I can see why some people would not be on board with it, but at the same time, like, to that extent, like, come on, guys, like, lighten up.
It's okay.
Like, it's about a giant 3-headed lizard that goes to fight like a fire-breathing lizard
and a giant moth.
And a giant moth with a giant flying rodent.
And the other thing about it is that I knew there was a point in the movie where I knew that it was being dramatic and everything, and definitely leaned into the melodrama. But there was the early point in the movie where Vera Farmiga shows that she's planning on doing the evil thing by allowing humanity to be wiped out or something because we're destroying the planet, like some shit like that. I don't remember exactly, but when she has her face being transmitted to the main control room that they're watching it in, it in the middle of her speech, like she's giving a presentation or narrating a movie, like it cuts to a bunch of different clips of humans polluting the planet, and I'm like, did you look these up and prep like a reel of B-roll to play while you give your evil speech? Like, did you plan this?
Like, I swear to God, my ex-husband's gonna be on that goddamn boat, and when he sees this, he's gonna be like, "Oh shit, I lost me a winner."
It's like our wedding all over again. But yeah, that was the moment where I was like, "Oh, we're this kind of movie," and from that point, like, don't fight it, just go with it.
And here's the thing about it too, because I realized this after we got out, and I had some time to think about it. Is the fact that the movie has been these movies have been progressively breaking down how much reality you're willing to just give up to enjoy these movies.
No.
And that's like that is pure to form the Godzilla formula.
You were like, this is so on brand. I'm like really?
There's a part where, again, like it reminds me a lot of the Hisui era, which is like 1985 through like 2004, through like 1999.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm probably getting the dates wrong, but close enough. But basically it was like Godzilla in 1985 was like a more like serious reboot of things. It was still pretty dumb, but it was more like trying to take itself more seriously, and ends with Godzilla like dying in a volcano. This happens.
Oh, sure.
And then like from there, they start to introduce the silly elements back in. Like there's a part where Godzilla is a dinosaur helping Japan fight in World War II. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, by the way, if you guys are wondering.
Oh, boy.
Which ends with him fighting Godzilla versus Mecha King Ghidorah.
Okay.
So the point is like they still take themselves seriously, but they're introducing sillier, like almost comic booky elements into it, and then we just go full blown Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, where he's literally fighting a space like doppelganger version of himself, while he protects his little Godzilla baby, and he also fights alongside a giant robot drill that happens to like fight Rodan at one point.
Why have we not watched these?
They're amazing.
You should bring those over. Like,
they're all on VHS.
Damn.
And it's like that's where I feel like we're at with Godzilla vs. Kong. We are in the Godzilla versus space Godzilla era, where we are just giving him all pretenses of giving a fuck. It's still playing it straight.
Yeah.
It's still like go as straight as it can, but it knows it's dumb.
Oh yeah.
Like it knows exactly what it is. So we see like his like these little space vehicles flying all around, zipping around, like neon like trails. Like, yeah, this is on brand. This is like how Hisui era Godzilla movie would do.
Yeah,
like, I can see this.
Well, that's if you were not able to get on board with how stupid King of Monsters got at points, you need to make peace with that, because this gets dumber. There are a couple of characters that are running around during the movie, and their express role in the movie is to give you stupid exposition about things that they shouldn't even know. Like, there's literally one part of the movie where they find something, and one of the guys just straight up says, "Oh, it's this. It's doing this and this and this. So this is one of these things. So they must be using it to do this." And I'm like, bro, how do you know this? There's no, like, if you really think about how that information would get disseminated into the world, it doesn't make sense that any normal person would know that. And even if they did, there's no reason that he would know that that's what's happening here and what it's being used for. And even that it would still work for that in its current condition, like, there's so much in that moment which is just stupid, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's doing this and this and this, and it's literally just to explain, like, a control pod. Like, there were so many moments in this movie where we were both just like, well, mainly me, but you were like, yeah.
Because again, I'm thinking, yeah, this fits.
And I'm just going like, I guess, okay, we're doing this now. Like,
and I'm like, yeah, what's your problem?
It doesn't make sense. And it wasn't really a problem on my mind. It was just a constant thing of like, okay, this is just another dumb thing that we're just gonna use. Like, well, like, it's just to get you from point A to B, man. You're just here to watch giant monkey fight radioactive dinosaur dragon and
smash your action figures together.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I do legitimately give these movies credit for. Like, so I think they've all of them have done well. The first one to the least to this extent, but King of Monsters nailed this. Godzilla vs. Kong pretty much nails this too. Is it knows who the main character is? It knows it knows it's not the fucking humans. Nobody gives two shits. But the monsters have such great little personality quirks.
Yeah.
The way they showed like their like aggressive stances and the way they interact with each other are so well defined.
Yeah.
Like even going back to like Ghidorah in the last movie, like each head had like an individual personality and one just
they fought with each other
like,
sometimes.
and then one just like the derpy one. the one charge has to correct. And the way like how he spreads his wings as an aggressive stance and shakes off like a rattlesnake when Godzilla shows up. And the way Godzilla has to show dominance. And this movie, the way Kong has like a genuine arc through this movie. Godzilla has a genuine arc. The monsters have genuine arcs when the human characters can fuck off. Like, they have no arc whatsoever. The movie does not care about them.
Absolutely.
But it absolutely cares about the monsters, and that's what you're there to see. So, like, that's where I say why I think his movies work on an objective level. Even if you think everything around it is stupid, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
But it loves the monsters. It loves the monster world, and it loves these characters in them, and it knows how to express that.
It's not just that it loves the monsters, it understands. The thing that I found myself continuously impressed by throughout the movie is that, you know, for weeks we've seen memes where it's just like a gorilla going like, guys, you don't understand. I know you want to see this fight, but it's a radioactive dinosaur. I could just punch. Like, and I've thought about how they're going to make this work over the weeks. And I was really impressed by how, you know, as plausible as you can be within this universe of giant kaiju just like beating the shit out of each other, they actually made the fight between the fights between the two feel relatively plausible.
Yeah.
Like, Kong is fucking scrabbling most of the time, and it really, what I thought of as a good analogy is when you are in a video game, like an action video game, like Ninja Gaiden or Dark Souls or something, and you're going up against an enemy who is clearly more powerful than you, but if you don't fuck up too bad, you might actually do all right. And that's what this felt like. Like, Kong is constantly, like, there's one scene where, like, the big fight in a city that happens, where there's a lot of nuclear breath going on, and
the way
Kong
they
is
shot that.
Yeah, the way they shot it. Oh, man.
Like, by the way, without going too much into the spoilers, when you get to the final, like, the final title fight towards the climax of the movie, it is fucking worth the wait.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
And it goes back to what you were saying, though, too, because it goes back to understanding these monsters, what makes them special.
Yeah.
Is the fact that also have very clearly defined fighting styles.
Yeah.
And it all plays to the character's strengths and weaknesses. And it absolutely exploits that to the nth degree. Like, the one thing I noticed in this movie from the last movie that took a little to get used to is Godzilla uses his arms a lot more in this movie compared to, like, the last couple.
Well, I don't know. He did that thing where he, like, pried open the other monster's mouth and just...
Yeah, but, like, in this one, he's right out of the gate going...
Well, he's swimming.
Well, not when he's swimming. When he's out there, he's like he's attacking someplace, and there's planes going at him. He's like swatting the planes out of the air, and like in a very lively way. It's like, oh, that's new. So that's like a little getting used to. I immediately realized why they did that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's also a classic Kong callback.
There is. I appreciate that.
There's some good moments with that. There's also, like, there are undoubtedly copious civilian casualties in this movie. Just let that go.
That's Godzilla movies in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. And but there's definitely a cool thing where, certain characters that die in ways that are completely fitting for their characters, but also feel weirdly anticlimactic while also feeling completely fitting for their characters.
Yep.
And it all fits with this whole thing where it's like, yeah, they don't matter. And this is about the big ones.
And it's also kind of like, yeah, you're ants to them. It also kind of plays into that.
Yeah. Just I love that one moment where like one of them like no, and just they're done. And but there's a lot of like, oh man, like we'll get into spoiler territory, and because I got to talk about some of the dumber stuff.
Oh yeah,
because it's silly. It's not because I hate it, but because it's like, I guess like this is what they brought out. But
I mean, there are definitely some parts that bordered on like Michael Bay Transformers 1 hacker characters.
Oh, sure.
Scenes that got a little on my nerves a bit.
That was kind of funny.
But that was like, I'm willing to forgive that because that exists in like every one of these fucking things.
Yeah, I could have done less with the haphazard trio stumbling around the facility.
Yeah, like, I could have done less. I could have done with less of the worst part of Deadpool 2.
Yeah. So yeah. Overall,
I love this movie.
It's a good fucking time. Just turn your brain off, watch the stupid big fun stuff, and just have a good time. Enjoy. It knows what it is. You should know what to expect. Just have some fun. Enjoy the moments that pop up where you're like, woo, this is crazy, and like enjoy like the weird little sci-fi elements that come up at some points, and just have a good time. That's all. It's like it delivers. It delivers on the things that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the way it's shot and the way it's choreographed is just fascinating and trippy and absolutely worth seeing in theaters.
This isn't fucking Dune, and it's not trying to be. Like, there's no high philosophy or sci-fi. This is very much just like, this is how we're doing it.
It's a giant monkey versus a giant lizard, and they're just fucking going at it. Not like that, but maybe like that.
I don't know. There was a pretty interesting Dom Sub moment that happened. But anyway, but like, just it's like I said, it's giant monkey versus radioactive dinosaur.
I mean, let's be honest. There was gonna be no version of this movie that I wasn't going to enjoy in some way.
Oh, that was super close. That was really close to my car. I'm almost impressed if I wasn't like made so uncomfortable by how close that car came to mine. Anyway,
I miss these candid reactions.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Like, we really wanted to capture. We're in the car with this haphazard lighting and potentially not great camera angle, because we really wanted to capture the happiness of first coming out of the theater.
Pure like childhood delight, and that's how I feel. Like to me, this is like the only movies I can watch that makes me feel like I'm like 8 again. So like,
well, you'll probably I know like not a whole lot of that is coming through right now, but that's because we're waiting for spoilers. So
oh my god!
At this point, I would give this honestly like, initial like woo jitters, I tend to take a point off of it just for my realistic after perspective. So I'm gonna give this like an 8 out of 10 instead of a 9 out of 10 like I feel like giving it right now, because it's gonna wear off and it's just a dumb fun movie. But man, what a good time.
See, I'm gonna go full indulgence. I'm gonna say 9 out of 10 because like this is my trash.
Yeah, no, I and I am tempted to agree with you, but I'm trying to be reasonable.
That's fair. I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna show that same restraint.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so spoiler time.
Spoiler. Let's do it. Where to start? Should we talk about the things we liked or the things we didn't? Or just the things.
Wait, were there things you didn't like? Other than the little fucking trio running around like idiots?
That was not really the only thing that really bothered me.
Yeah, they bring back what is it? The girl from Stranger Things,
Millie Brown, something.
And then they also and her dad, and they come in like tangentially.
Yeah.
And they're kind of, I don't know if they're supposed to be an emotional connection if you've watched the previous ones, but if you haven't, you just know that she was there and she knows that Godzilla wouldn't attack unprovoked.
I'm willing to bet they were a larger part of the original draft of this before,
That makes sense.
King of Monsters underperformed.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, why I could have done without it. I understand that it was there for exposition, but I would have liked it if they did a little more.
Yeah, that could have been more useful to the overall plot.
I mean, they were kind of there for the big reveal, but at the same time, you could have done the big reveal differently for the main fight, and it would have still been super cool. So, not necessary, but, it's fine. It doesn't bog down the movie a whole lot. And I do appreciate some of the comedic relief that they deliver, even though some of it feels kind of forced and annoying.
Like I said, a little Transformers 1-ish.
Yeah.
I felt in parts.
Yeah. Although they got Paperboy. They got Paperboy from Atlanta, and I was very happy to see him in a big-ass movie. If you've seen Atlanta, you know the character. If you haven't, I don't remember anything else he's been in. I know I've seen him in a couple small things, but no, he's good. And he was intentionally hamming it up, and when he tries to be funny, he's actually funny. So it's good to see him. Yeah. And then Millie Bobby Brown, and then, like you said, Deadpool 2 kid, who's playing an Australian kid who just complains a lot. And
he's kind of one of those, I'm not even supposed to be here kind of characters.
Like, guys, this is dangerous. And there's definitely one point in the movie where, very clearly they should not be where they are. Yeah. And they could sneak out and potentially keep sneaking around, but they get seen and the guys with the guns are walking up and they're very visible. And Millie Bobby Brown is just like doing her own thing, like do. And then they shoot the glass out and they trap them. And she's like, oh, how did this happen? The other characters were yelling about it at me for like the last half a minute or two. But like, I was just doing my thing and now we're captured. Uh-oh. Like, I hated that.
I was not a fan of that sequence either.
I was annoyed at that. That's possibly my least favorite moment of the movie, which sucks because I actually really like her as an actress.
I do too. Like, I know she can act well. She's good.
She's a good actress, and she has like a really interesting appeal. Like, she has a way of emoting that feels, I don't know, she does like the young person who knows better than the adults really well.
She does.
And without being like annoyingly cocky or something.
Yeah, like she's not insufferable about it. It comes off as confident versus arrogant.
Yeah, even though for some reason in this movie, she doesn't come across smart so much as believing in a conspiracy theory podcast. Like, I wasn't really a fan of how they blended the fact that, like, he knows the real thing, but he's also, like, scared about the fluoride in the tap water and, like, Roswell, and, like, it's...
A little much.
Yeah, it's a little much, especially considering that his whole podcast is supposedly centered around kaiju, like the Titans. Like, that's the whole premise of his podcast, but, like, he's into a whole bunch of other conspiracy theories and brings them up or something. So, overall, that whole arc, that whole side of things,
that
just
plot was a little annoying.
Yeah.
I feel like one other thing that was a little bit of disappointment, like not a deal breaker, but answer to the imagination, and I will admit is fully a nitpick that probably only bothers me.
Sure.
I was a little disappointed Godzilla doesn't get the last blow on Mechagodzilla.
Oh, well...
Which, again, is a nitpick. I'm not a deal breaker in any way, shape, or form, because the way he went out was still pretty goddamn cool.
Yes. So that's the other thing. This trio finds Mechagodzilla before everybody else. And I didn't know that was coming. So when I saw Mechagodzilla pop up,
You watched that.
I was so excited. I was like, they did this?
Like the minute they start going, like, we're gonna make a weapon, it's like, I know exactly where this dumb bullshit is going. I can't fucking wait.
And I was watching, I'm like, and it starts coming out the gate. I saw their glowing eyes. I was like, oh, no.
And I'm watching you like, yeah.
And all the parts are just like chunk, 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 chunk. Like it's booting up and all the parts are clanking together. I was, oh man, I was trying not to just go, yeah! Like,
and I was like, and just the way
no one else was cheering.
Which just to tap off that awesome like Hong Kong fight with this like Godzilla and Kong just fucking this is like the fastest kaiju fight. Sorry, go ahead.
We're jumping around. Let's try to keep it somewhat in sequence so we have some structure.
Fine. For my excitement.
But yeah, so you have like Kong in captivity, you have, and Rebecca Hall and her deaf daughter, who she adopted after apparently a storm came to the island that Kong was protecting and just murdered all the indigenous people. So
sure, they're out.
That's
wipe your hands with that.
The white people figured out a way to just write off all of the tribal people there instead of killing them themselves. They're just like, Storm did it.
Their protection totem was John C. Reilly.
Oh, God.
You removed the protection totem, the island's doomed.
Was he actually stated as their protection totem?
I'm totally fucking with you.
Oh, okay. I don't remember clearly, but
no, that's not what happened.
Because they were there a long time before then too.
I do
like how they also brought in like the skull crawlers just for that one little cameo.
I appreciate the skull crawlers. I like that design from Kong Skull. I thought that was a really cool design, so I was glad.
Yeah, that was neat. I do appreciate how much Kong was in here because Kong was kind of the emotional core of the movie.
Kong is clearly the protagonist of the film.
And there was this whole thing where, he had his own movie to get introduced and everything, and for you to realize that he's the good guy, and he's got good intentions, and he's got this bond with this girl, and they take him out, and they're gonna go like, we gotta go to the Hollow Earth, and of course it's funded by this Apex company, and they're like, we're gonna go to the Hollow Earth, and we're gonna figure out like where this energy's coming from, and like we just gotta
go to the center of the earth.
Yeah, so there's this really cool sci-fi sequence where they're just using these ships to go to the middle of the earth, and it's some great visuals.
Like, this is where I talk about where it kind of really just like embraces the dorkier side of era Godzilla.
Exactly.
This reminds me of Space Godzilla in particular because it involves like the dorky jumpsuits and like them jumping into machines that glow, and they're going underground and they're doing all the things, and their little things are going.
Oh, that's great.
They weren't like, it was more like a giant drill robot in that movie versus like full spaceships like this one has, but still, it's still the same basic feel.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it to be
Japanese jumpsuits with like Power Ranger-esque.
You don't want it to be exactly the same, but they did have jumpsuits.
They did have jumpsuits. Like that's what it clicked for me. It's like, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. So there's this thing where they go to the center of the earth and Kong is like running around. And I thought it was really funny because they go to a point where the gravity flips and then
just
like everybody, like the ships are flying and Kong is just like, what the fuck? And there's a great moment where like Kong falls past one of the one of the ships falls past Kong, and it's just a slow-mo shot of them looking out and meeting Kong's eyes as Kong just looks at the ship. And in my head, I was just like thinking Kong's dialogue would be like, bro, what the fuck?
Oh, we skipped the ship fight.
Oh yeah, no, there's a fight on the ocean when they're transporting him, and like the Godzilla senses them and like tries to fight them. And
it's in all the trailers, so it's not like you don't know what's happening. But at the same time, I want to take note to appreciate the little fucking like death stare down Godzilla gives out onto like the ships and the monkey when he's on the boat, like, I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
Again, like those little character moments where like this is clearly framing Godzilla as like the villain here, but then they kind of reframe him later kind of thing.
I mean, we've already framed him previously as a protector, but he's clearly doing some shit that some people aren't cool with, and there's enough foreshadowing dropped early on where like Apex is clearly doing some fuck shit. And
as
so,
opposed to like being a company called Apex isn't a dead giveaway.
Of course. And then Godzilla arises and attacks their facility, but they're doing the Batman versus Superman thing and being like, look, he attacked. He's bad. We're gonna spin this. Why would he do this? So then like they have the whole battle on the ocean where clearly it's Godzilla just fighting for dominance, and after a big old fight, which again surprisingly made sense. Like the dynamics of the fight made sense. It kind of reminded me of that episode of Evangelion where Asuka gets introduced.
Yeah.
And it definitely had some cool moments that weren't entirely, they worked within the logic that they set up. And it did make sense for the fight to go this way between Godzilla and Kong. And Kong is definitely at a disadvantage, especially being on the water. But the way that it worked out it didn't feel as contrived as like all of the plot elements were.
It was a good warm-up fight. Like it's like this movie knows like, okay, we know we're getting to that fight as fast as we can, guys. Yeah. That's kind of what a lot of it felt up to that point.
Here's an appetizer.
Basically, so like here's the warm-up fight. It's like here we're establishing who has the strengths and weaknesses here.
Yeah.
Here's how they fight.
Well, the thing that I appreciate about this movie that I think mattered a lot was that the plot itself felt super contrived, which is fine.
By design.
It's stupid. Yeah. It's by design. But the fights did not feel contrived.
Absolutely.
The fights felt really well thought out. They came up with ways for them to fight in ways that made sense. Even when, you know, they're like, all right, so we got to give Kong like an axe that can absorb Godzilla's nuclear breath and get powered up and hit back with. It's a fucking video game. It works, but it was great. I mean, it worked. It worked. It's the only way it would have made sense.
Yep.
And they pull it off.
It's more like, again, that's just like this movie understands what's important about this franchise and important about these characters and these monsters is the fact that the personalities all come out in these fights.
Yeah. We don't need the humans to stuff bullshit to make sense. We need the fights to... We can't have people who are fans of one or the other going like, well, that was bullshit. Like, it just needs to make sense. So I liked that. But then they go do the gravity flip. And of course, Kong happens to fall in exactly the right place for him to like hit the side of a mountain at the right angle to not just fucking die right there. And there are multiple times where he just goes like, bruh, and falls off and bounces. And
I also feel like that's what the movie just completely gave up on being like anything remotely grounded. And
of course.
Now
you're in the hidden world.
Like now we're just like the spaceships go vzz, and there's little neon trails, and now we're like in a metal album with like flippy gravity.
Giant monsters are doing like we're just gonna have a couple giant monster designs because we thought they looked cool.
There are crab people just along the floor.
And what part was it where I was like, it felt like he maintained a really cool skateboard trick and then fucking ate it at the very end.
Oh, it's when he's like going through the tunnel to get to the hollow earth. And swinging across the ceiling.
No, there's this part where they're trying to like before they drop down into the hollow earth, like Kong is swinging from these giant rafters or something. I don't know.
Sure.
And when he gets to the very last one next to the edge, it breaks and he falls and he's like, and slides into the hole that leads into the hollow earth. And it just reminded me of like videos of cats leaping gracefully and then just fucking landing on their faces. Like there was this weird comedic element to it that I just fucking loved.
Right before he goes to like a giant bright ass magic portal. And Just okay, sure, why not?
I guess
who
we're doing
cares? Like who fucking cares?
And of course, Kong can survive the force of this gravity field, even though they need like anti-gravity ships to. Don't analyze it. Have some fun. It's stupid. It knows it's stupid. Just have a good time.
I also kind of appreciated, just from a nerd perspective, this is kind of sets up like an alternate way of doing Monster Island, which is a thing that exists. Which is another thing that exists in the Godzilla mythos.
Well, no, because the Hollow Earth would totally make sense as a place for all the other monsters, huh?
Exactly, yeah. So It seems like another way to like, well, we can't just have it be an island.
I'm out of the way enough, right?
I think so. Do you want to scoot a bit just in case?
No.
Okay, then I think we're okay.
A camera. If it honks at me, I totally can.
Okay. But so like I appreciate that little nod to like the original world. I appreciate all the musical cues. Godzilla theme's still there and it still slaps.
Yeah. Okay. So they get down there, and what I thought was funny was when he goes and he finds the temple. He's like, because Godzilla, not Godzilla. When Kong finds this thing, it's almost like he knows it's there.
Yeah, like he's kind of just drawn to it, is what's implied.
Yeah, and there's this cool little floating anti-gravity thing that goes on, and like, it felt like he jumped, and we're good? We're good?
Looks like it. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Alright, we're good. So it feels like he jumped to try to do like the slow motion, low gravity thing, and then like reaches for something and misses and just like lands again. It felt like, there's I don't know. I just found it hilarious.
Well, it's kind of like Colin is a legitimate character. He's very expressive and very like emotional.
He's got a proper face, and even though there's clearly a part where Godzilla like grins, and
yeah, I was okay with that though, because that point is like,
this is silly.
We're in it. We're in it.
He gets to a temple, and there are these giant doors, and there's like handprints on it, and for a second I was like, okay, even I can't accept this if that ends up being like a sci-fi handprint and ends up being like, this implies that Kong's like family or ancestors were advanced enough to make some kind of like science fiction lock on this door that would respond to his handprint. If no, he just pushes on it. It's fine. I was like, that would break it for me. I can take everything up to this point, but that's a little too far. Sci-fi monkeys. But then he gets in there and he finds this fucking magical axe and then puts it into a magical slot in the ground.
And that's when he learns about Darkseid in the mother boxes.
Right. And puts it into a magical slot in the ground and wakes up the
other axes, I guess.
This circle on the ground that looks like a Godzilla Ouroboros snake. And I don't know how that got there. Okay, fine. I guess we're doing
whatever.
Sure, I guess. Again, one of those things where I'm like, fuck it. But then Godzilla notices, because he's coming up into Hong Kong to get to Mechagodzilla because he notices it winding up. But then he powers up the thing and he's like, oh shit, I know what that is. And he fucking blasts a hole to the center of the earth.
I was like, if this is going where I think it's going, then I am so in. And sure enough, it's just a hole straight to the center of the earth. Godzilla's looking right at the motherfucker. And Kong looks right back. And they say, yeah, I'm going to just take this new hole back to the surface.
No, they roar at each other. He's like, is that you? And the other one's like, yeah, it's me. He's like, bring it, bitch. It's like, all right, we're doing this. Woo! Like, it's...
And then just
grabs his glowing axe.
And then just has this amazing fight sequence in Hong Kong.
Yeah, no, that fight is fantastic. That fight is where basically it kicks into high gear, and it's where it's the stuff that you want to see. And that fight was so full of so many cool little moments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, again, everyone kind of gets their round, I guess, to, like, express, like, to demonstrate their best skills in a way, and the way they bounce off each other in a way that feels really organic, and the way that feels like true to these characters.
Yeah.
Like, nothing feels like it's being held back. Nothing feels like it's being forced or contrived.
Yeah.
It feels like these are just two animals just releasing their instincts in the worst way to just fucking murder each other.
Yeah. I love that slow motion shot where it's literally just Kong flying through the air holding the axe up to absorb the nuclear breath.
Yeah.
And fucking Godzilla's just like, like,
well, I just love, like, Kong is, like, going these relentless, like, punches and kicks, like, elbow drops, and doing, like, everything it can is, like, stop him from, like, getting him close to doing, like, a breath.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of little bits of nuclear breath get out, and Kong manages to, like, deflect them by just punching him in the face a bunch. And it's really well done. Like, it's surprisingly plausible. Again, like, they thought this out properly so that it wouldn't just feel cheap. And then there's that other part where, you know, it's like, I guess if you want to, in this moment, you have, like, if you have Batman versus Superman's, like, laser, Kong is Batman, clearly, and then Superman would be Godzilla with, like, the laser powers and shit. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Superman's got laser vision, he's fucking shit up, but Kong's, like, just jumping around and being really agile and sliding under shit and being like, oh, you're not gonna get me, and then getting close enough to be like, kryptonite punch! And, like, you know, it works out.
No, like, and I also pretty like other little touches I haven't seen much in Godzilla movies, which is, like, the one that comes to mind is, like, when they're getting, like, really down on the ground and, like, really going at each other.
Yeah.
Is the fact that I never actually see Godzilla crawl around like a lizard and just fucking bite and scratch the motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I've surprisingly never seen that in a Godzilla movie, so that was kind of refreshing.
Makes sense.
Because, of course, you know, most of those movies don't have a budget enough to do, like, on the ground.
Yeah.
Fights like that. So I appreciated just that, like, little touch there, and just, again, just the ferocity of these animals. And the way that's clearly demonstrated, it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
And the way the camera's doing, like, the loop-de-loop shit, and just, like,
oh yeah, the camera, it is occasionally kind of hard to tell what's going on screen, but I think that might have been because we were watching it on a 70-foot tall IMAX screen. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I guess.
I just know I had a big stupid grin on my face the entire time. I was like, childhood me re-emerging from the womb, just going, Godzilla! Godzilla's fighting a monkey! Way better than the original Godzilla vs. Kong.
This is, it knows how to give, like, Adam Wingard has understood violence for quite a while. I'm really shocked that he got this movie. There have been some really great movies in his repertoire, from, like, you know, mainly You're Next and The Guest, and there have been some not so great movies like the Blair Witch redo. But he definitely understands how to make certain things feel gratifying. And this movie really, he clearly knew what he wanted these fights to be. And he clearly knew what he wanted to pay homage to and how he wanted to use these monsters and what to focus on. And that fight is, to me, like, that fight is pretty much the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah, it's the title fight. It's a title fight that actually pays off.
And they have 2 rounds, and in one of the rounds, Kong wins over Godzilla. And on the other round, Godzilla wins over Kong.
Just dominates him.
Literally. At the very end of it, Kong is just beaten, and Godzilla just goes and steps on his chest and looks down at him and, like, makes eye contact. And I'm like, this is some pretty intense top energy from Godzilla right now. Not gonna lie.
Godzilla's over there like, you're not a king. You're not a king.
Save Martha.
Save Mothra. Why did you say that name? I will say one missed opportunity from the original Kong versus Godzilla is there does not have a scene where Godzilla shoves a tree, Kong shoves a tree down Godzilla's throat.
But he did, kind of, with the axe.
He did, you're right!
There's one moment where
shit.
Godzilla is about to fucking do the nuclear breath, and Kong just goes, like, he's like, oh, okay, never mind. Like,
because my favorite meme from that movie is just this thing like Kong just shoving a palm tree down Godzilla's throat, and it just says, eat your vegetables.
No, it was, this was definitely, now that you say it, it sounds like that could have been that homage.
If it was, that would make me so happy.
It makes sense.
True.
Make it your headcanon. Why not?
It is my
It works. It works.
I mean, there's even Kong vs. Godzilla homages in Kong Skull Island.
Oh, that's cool.
Like the octopus is from Kong. It's from Kong vs. Godzilla. It's like the first monster he fights in that movie.
They also have
rocks at it.
They also have a moment where Kong goes on top of a building that looks very much like the Empire State Building.
I appreciated that.
And
that made
swats at a helicopter, like.
Because again, like if you're picking characters in a fighting game and you had like what was their like open position to fight, I feel like Kong would be like him on the building and Godzilla would be him like roaring and like using his atomic
coming out of the ocean.
Coming out of the ocean. I feel like that's what that shot was.
Yeah, iconic, just iconic. So yeah,
loved it.
Fucking great fight, and then Mechagodzilla bursts out of the mountain, and
fuck shit up,
and Godzilla fights Mechagodzilla and gets his ass beat.
Well, like this is another little nod I appreciated. And I was thinking about this, like, and that's why I remember like the monsters have more of an arc in a story than the actual like human characters do. It's because at this point the movies have been set up to like Kong and Godzilla are rivals. They have been ancient rivals for decades. Who's a bigger rival
centuries
than Kong? Ghidorah. And Ghidorah's mind is the one that's controlling Mechagodzilla. So by that point it's like, okay, so Godzilla's willing to make peace with Kong because they have to face the bigger rival at this point.
Well, it's also the fact that, like, you know,
I know it's not that deep, but I find it interesting.
They explicitly say earlier in the movie that Godzilla, like, just wants you to submit. Like, they straight up say he wants you to submit. So when Godzilla wins over Kong in the city battle, he steps on his chest and just keeps applying pressure and just keeps looking him in the face, and eventually just gets real close and roars in his face and doesn't stop until Kong gives like a roar back, like, all right, you win. And then he steps off and he's like, okay. And he walks off. And like,
not gonna do that again, are you?
Yeah. Kiss. And kiss.
I know.
But
Monster Mash.
Yeah, right. Oh God.
Which reminds me, you need to finish Doom Patrol.
The cleanup on the streets. Terrible. But then like when they go off to do the other thing, like Kong comes back and all that, and then they team up for the tag teaming on Mechagodzilla, which again feels like a fight that makes sense.
Yep.
That is a beautifully choreographed fight. They really managed, like, it's giant CG monsters. It doesn't matter, but the sense of scale is there. The intensity of the violence is there.
Like the impacts all feel like it's being hit from these giant fucking monsters, and you feel the gravity and the weight behind it, and you feel like the stumble and stomp, like everything like has a gravitational pull to it.
And you also feel like Godzilla and Kong are both fighting for their fucking lives against this thing.
Yep.
It's not an easy fight.
Meanwhile, like Mechagodzilla's got all the missiles and the lasers and all this cool ass shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the finger missiles. I was a little disappointed by that.
It did have a little tail whisk that was about to fuck Kong
the tail
up.
whisk was cool. Mechagodzilla is one of those like another legacy character, I guess, in the Godzilla franchise. It had like this is the 4th iteration, I want to say, outside in the live action one. I know it's also like an animated one, but I haven't watched it. It's the only one I haven't watched. But like, if I had to pick, this is one of those cases like Mechagodzilla is like one of the few consistent characters to just kick Godzilla's ass every time he appears.
Well, I think that's the whole purpose of the of the concept, right?
Basically,
you got to engineer something that's like going to be, because it can't feel pain. It's a robot.
I mean, the first time it appeared, it was like aliens impersonate Godzilla, and actually comes out like as like a Godzilla doppelganger. Everyone's like, oh no, Godzilla's gone evil, and then the skin peels off, and it's like, oh no, it's a robot under the skin.
That's kind of funny.
And he has to fight a giant he has to fight, what do you call like the classic Chinese like dog figurine, like ones on all those like statues, like
I don't know.
Basically, he has to team up with a giant Chinese god to beat him in the first movie, and then the second one he appears and he teams up with a giant like weird fish Godzilla.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Like
I said, this is very on brand.
Yeah. So yeah, and they do it, and then they look at each other and they're like, respect. All right,
we're cool.
And they back down. Godzilla wanders back into the ocean, and Kong just decides to sit down and chill because he's tired.
Yep.
He's earned his rest. But I thought it was really funny because there's one building next to him which is seemingly undamaged, and as he goes to sit down, he just kind of like knocks it a little bit with his arm, and I could just imagine like this dude who owns the building standing off to the side being like, whoo! And then Kong sits down and he's like, oh, come on, man. Like,
you know what I just realized is another kind of homage of sorts, I think, is in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, not the sequel to the original. This is like the reboot in the Heisei era, like 1980 something.
You're such a nerd about this. I think it's so great.
I know. Like I said,
I love it, dude. No, we need people like you, man. This is great. I love it.
It was the sequel to Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah when he fought Mecha King Ghidorah, and the I know. But here's why I think it's a callback, though. It's because the Mechagodzilla came out of the sequel in the movie mythology and the lore was actually based off the ripped off head of the Mecha King Ghidorah from the previous movie. And in this movie, Mechagodzilla is based off the brain of the severed head of King Ghidorah from the last movie.
Oh, that's neat.
So there you go.
I like that.
There's a neat little callback to the old Heisei era Godzilla movies.
They also didn't spell it out completely, but I like the fact that there's an implication that the zombie skull of Ghidorah is like when they lose power and direct control of Mechagodzilla, that it's basically implied that this zombie skull, even though it's technically dead, they're powering it with this psychic energy, and that the sheer hatred within it is what's driving Mechagodzilla to fight.
You know what's the funniest part of that? It's the doofus head.
That is the doofy head?
It's the doofy head. Yeah. The doofy head comes back for a vengeance.
Well, thank goodness, because if that was the doofy head, then that might be what gave them the edge to survive. Oh, man. But yeah, and then it's over. Like, that's the movie. It's pretty much done. And
like, oh God, I really hope this movie does well. I really want it to do well, because God damn it, I want more of these.
It's a good time.
I want more of these.
Damn good time.
So bad. I mean,
they said this was probably going to be it. But
I hope so. I mean, it's doing really well in China right now.
Good.
Like, I think I got like 125 million in the box office.
Huh.
Yeah, so compared to like COVID numbers right now. So like
yeah, that's not bad with COVID going on.
So like, if this is the last one, it's a damn good one to go out on.
Yeah.
But fuck, I hope there's more.
I feel like it might have been gotten muddled up a little bit because they released it on HBO so close to Justice League, and there's a whole lot of people who definitely signed up just to see Justice League.
There's also
a whole bunch of people that signed up just to watch Godzilla.
Yeah.
And they're definitely going to look at the view metrics to see which one drove it more, and I'm hoping that there's enough for both of them to get like a little more momentum and get more credit.
I think this movie has enough hype behind it. It's definitely got enough buzz for people to go back in the theater to watch this. Compared to Justice League. I feel like they're definitely going to get more income out of this than they've gotten out of the Snyder Cut so far.
Look. Be safe. If you feel safe going into a theater, if your theaters have good safety measures, which like AMC's, they totally do.
And if you've been vaccinated, even better.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. But if you've been vaccinated, go see this in theaters. Like 100%. Like, I mean, if you've already seen it, then clearly you already know that it's totally worth it to go into theater to see. Even if you have it at home, like, unless you have some crazy gigantic TV or some great projector with a great sound system, I promise you, just having a good theater with like a big ass sound system and a big ass screen to watch it on is fucking cool. Oh, it's a good time.
No, I'm so glad we made the trip out for this tonight.
Yeah, and I'm still, like, even with this right now, I don't know if I want to get rid of our Saturday tickets or not. I may be down to come do this again.
I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it, exactly.
I am.
And that's, don't, here's the thing. The fact that you're even thinking about it is a credit to this movie.
That is very true.
That should tell you, because it's like an hour drive for us to get here. And that's from my place. It takes him like, what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get to my place from where you are?
Yeah, about.
Yeah. So it's not a small thing for us to make that trip, and we're really thinking about it just to see it on this fucking big ass screen again. So, you know, worth it.
I'm a hardcore Godzilla fan. I fucking love this. I would happily watch it again. I probably will. If not in theaters, definitely at home. Either way, I'm gonna watch Monkey Punch the Lizard again at some point in the near future. And please support this, because I want more. Please, I need. This makes me so happy, and I need it in my life.
there's not much else you can ask for out of a big, dumb, fun action movie.
So yeah.
There you go.
I think it's all we got.
All right.
Thank you guys for watching. See y'all later.